Hey guys, welcome back to Vertical Momentum. I'm your host, Richard Kaufman. Yes, you're seeing me for the sixth time today. I'm pumped up. I'm excited. Guys, this is going to be a great episode. Uh, what we're going to be talking about some of the most important things I think in the world today is being able to publicly speak and to get your voice out there because the young lady that we're going to have is a one-time, two-time, three-time TEDx speaker, author of amazing books, and I'm sure she's got more coming on. Podcast host, she does it all, and we're all. And I think by the end of the episode, at the end, she's going to give you three things that can teach you to be a better speaker starting today. So, Lisa, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Thank you, Richard. Thanks for having me here. Let's get vertical.
I'm excited. So let me ask you before I even get started, because I do have a traumatic brain injury. If I don't ask a question, I'll forget. What is your definition of resiliency?
Resiliency to me is the first saying I think of is grow through what you go through. And being an improvisation performer for over 2 decades, I love the mentality of I don't know what I was going to do. I don't know what to do. But if I did know, I would do this and step forward and do it. Use the yes and mentality and just be willing to be brave and bold and try new things. To be resilient means I'm trying it. I might not keep doing it, but I'm going to grow as I try new things.
And I love improv. I'm a big improv guy. Me and my wife, we actually DVR. Whose line is it anyway? We
Sweet.
watch every single episode because I love to be able to improv. I mean, especially because I have ADD, so I'm very good at doing this and doing that. So I think being able to improv in anything you do will help you be a little bit more successful. So tell us a
Yes.
little bit about where you come from, where'd you grow up, and how did you become a three-time TEDx speaker, soon to be four-time TEDx?
Well, I don't know about the soon to be four. I tell you what, that three has been maybe the charm. It's getting tougher and tougher to find the stages, but it's where I come from is the Wisconsin and Minnesota area. I've been back and forth between those two states. Did a little time in Tennessee when I was a kid due to my father's job, but mostly Wisconsin gal. And love brought me over the bridge of the Mississippi over to Minnesota, and that's where I'm at now. So started doing improv about 20 years ago when a friend said, you should try out for our troupe. I think you'd be really good." And we were in a singing group at the time, and I thought, "I'm I'm funny. I can sing, I can perform." And then she lessened the size of my head when she said, "'Cause we really need another woman." But I went anyway and I tried out and loved it. It was a room full of strangers. It was actually a guy's basement. It was just a basement full of props. And it soon became my family of choice. And now I'm running the troupe. So we are an award winning troupe in La Crosse, Wisconsin. And we do games like Whose Line Is It Anyway?
I love that. So now talk to us now when you were a little kid growing up. Like for me, I grew up in an abused household. So for me, books was my solace. That was me. I put a post out today. When I was growing up, I would read the encyclopedia. I was
Yes.
I was just a geek, and I just love to read. I've read over 6,000 books as we speak, and yours
Wow.
is one of them. So
Woo.
what was your solace when you were a kid growing up? What did you like to do that actually helped you become who you are now?
What a great question. Thank you. I also grew up in a traumatic childhood home. My mom was an alcoholic, but a functioning alcoholic, so that was hard to understand the good and the bad days. But she was physically abusive, and for me, one of the four kids, I would hide away in my room and play Barbies and put on shows and have costume changes like Cher and do everything like Carol Burnett. So I pretended that Carol Burnett was raising me because her parents were alcoholics. And the Carol Burnett show is something I do mention in my first TEDx, and how I talk about how humor saved my life. So I think being a character, being a performer, now I'm a singer, now I'm an actress, all those things as a kid was my escape. I could be whoever I wanted to. And my audience always adored me. It was all my Barbies lined up on my bed. They always wanted more. but they didn't want to pay for the extra show. So sorry. But yeah, Barbies and pretending and all the things. I did improv before I knew what it was.
No, I love Carol Burnett. I love Carol.
I'm trying to get
I
her on my
love.
show, Richard, but she isn't
She's
calling me
awesome.
back.
I loved her, and like for me, I figured whether if I'm being abused or not, I could just open up a book and it would transport me to anywhere in the world. I never felt alone, even though I was alone.
We sure
So
have that
now,
in common. Yeah,
and a lot of people, I've had millionaires, billionaires, authors, actors, and we're all going through the same crap,
that's
but
right.
just on different levels. So I think
So
that's how
true.
this show is a little bit different than other shows because we kind of get real and vulnerable in this show a little bit.
Good. Yeah, that's what it's all about.
So, talk to us because there's a difference between putting a show on in your bedroom and then going up on stage. Because for me, I was at one time I was able just to be in my room by myself, but now I speak on stages and on this podcast like every day. So for me, it's easy to speak, but I know that first time when I seen the light go on for the first time and the mic went on, I was like, uh. So what was that like? Your first performance in front of a real audience?
Man, the anticipation of what might happen was quickly quelled when I got the first round of laughter, and I was hooked. That was my type of crack or whatever, street drug that people get hooked on. Laughter did it for me. Laughter meant you like me. Applause means you care about me. And it took the place of anything I was missing out on. It really did. And, for decades, that's what I go for. And whether it's my day job working at a police department in records and greeting people that might need a little bit of humor, I know how to do it at work and I know when to cap it off. That's the important part. But wherever you are, you need that talent of knowing improv. It doesn't always mean you're on a stage getting laughter. If you've got a partner, if you've got a child, if you've ever had a boss, you are doing improv and you're just not doing it on a stage for paying customers. But it comes in handy to know it. And that's what my book is about is everything I've learned on stages from being a performer and I call myself an interactive speaker because I use my improv even when I'm doing a keynote. That's what's in my book. It's telling you how to speak and why you should speak and how to get to your message.
Well, and for me, I love public speaking, but because I know I'm a different kind of dude. I've spoken on stages with some of the biggest guys that are out there, and I tell when as soon as I get on, the first thing I say is, guys, this what I'm going to talk about is for not for 99% of you. So why don't you guys just tune out and pick up your phone and go look at something else? And they look at me and then they kind of put their phones down and then they kind of lean in because once you tell somebody this might not be for you, they're like, well, why isn't it for you? And then I tell them, listen, guys, I'm not here for your wallet. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm here for your heart. And then you can hear a pin drop.
Oh,
And
that's
then I know I
nice.
got their full attention because I was taught that people may not remember anything that you said, but they'll always remember how you made them feel at that moment.
Absolutely. I love that. I like that you're using a little bit of reverse psychology and a whole lot of just compassion. I like that method. That's very refreshing because
So
once you say, I'm not after your wallet, I'm going to listen to you differently and I'm not waiting for a pitch.
yeah, and I tell people, and some people will be like, okay, and I'm like, not is this is not for 99% of you. And then I'll say, if you can check out my website if you guys are just sitting there doing nothing anyway. So they find me anyway, but I think it's a way of connecting with the audience. But I think a lot of speakers don't connect with the audience because a lot of them, the big ones supposedly, they fly in, go to the green room, do their speech, and fly out. Where me, I get there an hour, 2 hours early. I go sit and talk to everybody. I'm not even wearing any. I'm just wearing jeans and a t-shirt. And then when I get up to speak, everybody's like, "It's that guy.
Yes.
It's that guy that was talking to me about how my day was and how my wife, my kids were." and they kind of relate to me. And then when I'm speaking to them, I mention the people that I've met.
Right.
So talk to us about that, about how to build relationships on and off the stage.
That's really brilliant. I think some of the best comics do that. They might even have a persona on stage, but when they come in, and like you stated, you fly into a town, the best thing you can do is find out, like maybe you're at a hotel, ask the front desk person, what is the one restaurant everybody flocks to for a special occasion? What is a restaurant that people make fun of? There's, a street in every town that, like in the town where I'm from, it's potholes everywhere, so that's a big joke. So tell me the inside jokes, and then the best comics are going to work that into their set and relate to the audience. I'm one of you, that kind of a thing. Or you include them in on, you know, a callback to a joke. If you use a joke and come back to it later, I'm in on that as well. That's what the Carol Burnett show did really well, that you and I are saying that we love that show. And they could include the audience when they were making the fun. And in, when you include somebody in on the fun, we just had a connection. When we laugh together, we connect. Just like if you're in an office or in the public and you hear some laughter over there, you peer around the corner. Hey, what's so funny over there? Or somebody in a restaurant is boisterous and you look. You have no reason to, but I want to know what's so funny. I'm attracted to that. So that's what laughter does for me, is that's the connector. So I think that's really smart that you're connecting with the people before you even get on stage, because you're doing your homework and that matters to people.
Well, and now, going back to Carol Burnett, I love Tim Conway. Tim
Yes.
Conway was my favorite actor because he played that role. He was quiet, but he always got the laugh for me. But he was always at the right moment. He had the quickness. He had wit, and I think
Yes.
sometimes if you're going to be a speaker, you need to have a little bit of wit, but you also need to know your room. Like, I'm a big professional wrestling fan. I have a lot of friends that are pro wrestlers. And it used to be amaze me when Mick Foley would come in, if he was in Wisconsin, and he'd be like, "To all my Green Bay Packers fans, welcome
Oh,
to the show."
sure.
And it would just get people like riled up because he was connecting with the audience, even though he wasn't trying to connect with the audience. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's exactly it. You get them on board right away by paying attention and appealing to them and knowing the local spots, the funny things, or the sports ball in that case.
So now, talk to us, because I just finished reading his book. It's called Talk Like Ted. I must have read it at least 100 times, about, the average top speaker is 18 minutes for TED Talk. And it's amazing how you would think it would be the real famous people that get the millions of views for TED Talks, and it's not. It's
No.
like the average everyday Joe could be talking about something, and a lot of them, it's just them speaking. They don't have a lot of the stuff in the background going, but it's just them being emotional and vulnerable that makes people want to listen to these TED Talks. So what is a TED Talk? First of all, what is a TED Talk, and how did you get booked for your first TED Talk?
TED stands for Technology, Entertainment, and Design. And that's the main platform. And it used to be 18 minutes. And now they're asking you to do between 5 and 10. It's a point and click and scroll kind of world. So that doesn't surprise me whatsoever. I do know if you have the word sex or porn in your title, you're going to get all the views. And knowing what title to use is a really big dang deal. I'm not saying you should use those words, even if it has nothing to do with it. But I think that's a lot of it, is knowing how to title your talk. Um, my first one was, a friend of mine said, "Hey, there's some auditions for a TEDx." TEDx, the X part means that it's independently run. So it might be put on at a college, it might be at a community theater or a historical theater or somewhere. No one makes money on those. The speakers pay all their own fees. If you're flying in on your own dime, you're staying on your own dime, all that. You cannot sell from the stage. So there's very rigid rules, and anyone can apply. I love talking to people about it. So one thing you would want to do is find out your topic. Let's pretend it's worm farms. You're going, okay, you've got your own version of worm farms. You're going to make them all little tie-dye t-shirts. So you've got definitely a unique idea. I'm just making stuff up. Don't know where that came from. I must have had a weird lunch. And you're going to take your idea and then Google that idea with TEDx or TED and find out how many people have done one on worm farms or tie-dye t-shirts for worms or whatever your thing is. What is your message that if you stood up on a mountain, you got 1 minute to shout out that sentence? If you know what that would be that you crave everyone to know, you are ready for the TEDx stage. I can help you get ready for it. I've got other mentors I can introduce you to. But for that first one, my friend said, you should jump on and audition. And I did have my idea worth sharing, which is how humor saved my life. And I auditioned, and it was for Bloomington, and I live in Minnesota, so I knew that that would only be a few hours away. No, it was Bloomington, Indiana. I thought it was Bloomington, Minnesota. No bother. Everything was going to be over Zoom. Long story short, it was 2019, and we did end up meeting in person. It was going to be virtual over Zoom, and I'm so thrilled we did get to be on a stage. But it was COVID, and so you wore a mask until the minute you put that microphone on, and there was a whole lot of weirdness about how many people could be in the building and everything. But it was one of the most exciting things I've ever participated in, and meeting the people that I trained with for 6 weeks online, meeting them in person was like meeting stars. We're in touch to this day.
So, I've had several of my friends have done TEDx. Mine will probably be coming up next year sometime. I wish I had time, but I don't have time right now. I'm in the middle of writing 2 books and we're launching a course. So it's right now, it's just crazy. But there's TEDx everywhere around the world now. Now it seems like every big, like I live 10 minutes from Manhattan. So that's a great place for TEDx. So, but it's not as easy, like you said before you even got on. It's not easy getting on the stages like it used to be. Now there's a lot of people, because if somebody sees TEDx in your title, that creates, wow, they did something. Like it's kind of like when you author your first book, or a book, because the word author is short for the word authority. So once you author your first book, you're somebody. You're just not the average everyday Joe. So what's it like getting on the second and third stage compared to the first?
Every one of the TEDx experiences will always be different because they're each independently run. And my second one went through Brazil, and that was a studio one, which meant you film your own talk per their standards. And I needed 3 cameras, and I had to do my own. So a lot of people invest a ton of money. If I were to hire the video team, rent a stage, which the only one I could find was going to be 500, and on and on and on. Then it has to be edited, then it has to fit this, and it has to be exact. So luckily, I am sleeping with an audio engineer. My husband is excellent. He helped me with my first book becoming an audiobook. He does my graphic work. So I am really lucky with that. So he did my 3 cameras. One of my sons helped me with notes during it. And we set up a big black curtain in my first husband's karate studio. So it sounds like one of those Mickey Rooney, we can have a show in the barn. My mom will make the costumes, but we saved a whole lot of money. I am so lucky. And that one went through Brazil. So technically I'm an international speaker. And then my third one, I really had an idea I wanted to share, and that was how you could talk to almost any other human. And I kept putting in applications. I don't have my note near me close enough, but I have everywhere that I applied for this third one. And I think I did close to 85 applications and finally got chosen. And the curator for that one was in Warrenton, Virginia. And he said, you had me at Humorist. And so I was the opener and got to stay at their farm and everything. It was an amazing experience. So I was treated like royalty. I didn't have to pay for a hotel. I just had to pay for my flight to get in, and all the food was there. I mean, that's unusual, but I was treated like royalty, and it was a really good time. And I
So,
renamed all of their goats.
okay. Hey, whatever it takes. So what does it take to become a not just a TEDx speaker, because that's just one facet, but like for my kids, I got 3 kids. I got an 11-year-old. She has her own YouTube channel. We started that. I got 2 boys. They're both in college, and I made sure that they took a speaking class in school, because I realized that if you can get in front of anybody and just talk to somebody, especially now with with this, everybody is this. But if you're able to talk and convey messages and be able to read somebody's body language and improv, you can beat 90% of the people in the world right now if you can just get some soft skills. So what kind of soft skills should public speakers get?
I believe the first thing is to not overthink it. And that's as valid of a sentence as telling your partner to calm down when they're upset. It just doesn't work that way.
That
But
doesn't work?
no, don't do that. But when you overthink it, oh, they're gonna hate me, or they're gonna this, you gotta stop the stinking thinking and turn it around and say, I can't wait to share this message. I am so excited to talk to this group because I'm going to learn just as much as I share, or, whatever it would be. If you also are a speaker and an author, that's so fun because then you sell your books afterward and then people come up. You're going to sell the most books when you're in person because just like you said, you have emotion from the stage, you bring them in and now we're bonded. That's when you can sell the most books. So back of room sales are very fun to have. One of the things I would say to a speaker is know your topic, work it out, and practice it in front of your dog. Say your lines in the car, face a different wall if you're practicing at home, and then record yourself and listen back. Are you doing those awful habits of or things like that are going to make that's the stuff we have to work on as a speaker so that people aren't counting the words that are filler words or the mouth click that sometimes we do or things like that. You want to have them riveted to what you're saying. And for me, I do a lot of back and forth. And that's my comfort zone is to play with people and work them into what I'm saying. But I have a promise, and it's to not scare the introverts. If somebody's not feeling it, I'm not going to pick on you or say anything. But if I might say, somebody over here, tell me where you had lunch today, because there's a reason I'm using that. And if they speak, then they're willing to speak about it. So that's how you know not to pick on people. The other thing, like if you were training your daughter to speak to off the stage, one of the things I wish to go is what I'm going to tell you now, and it's in my book. Pretend that the whole room wants you to do well. Breathe that in before you take the stage. Let it go out. And really believe they want you to do well, because they do. When we pay money to go see a stand-up comic, or we are at a conference and we can't wait to see that keynote, are we going, I hope they fall up the stairs and forget everything? No, you go there thinking, I can't wait to be inspired. I can't wait to hear this thing. I've got my notes. I'm ready to go. That's what we're thinking. We want them to do well. We go to a comedy club. We want them to do well. We want to laugh. We want to remember the name of something they've said or buy the damn t-shirt afterwards because I'm so inspired by what they said and I want to feel this feeling later. So when you're about to go speak, pretend the room is there to cheer you on and wants you to do well. That's one great tip. The other one is if you're scared to death to do it, don't be you. Pretend you're a version of yourself. Maybe I'm not Lisa, maybe I'll be Linda, and I'm going to just, what would Linda say? What would Linda do? I'll just go up there and be her until your nerves calm down. Pretend that you're somebody else. And it's almost like a shield. You can't bother me. Sure, I'm sweating like crazy when it happens, but you will live through it. And the buzz afterward is pretty hard to compare to. Am I right? You speak, you know this.
Yeah, but like before I get on the stage, before I do it, even before I come on here, I say my prayers. I say, Lord, use me as your will. Let me touch somebody, and then I put my theme music on, my Eminem "Lose Yourself," and when I get up, I'm ready. I'm pumped. I'm excited because I've seen a lot of people that get out on the stage and they're just there. and you're
Mm-hmm.
like, or they speak like this, they have a monotone voice, and you're like,
Yes.
oh my God, this is going to be the longest 18 minutes in my life.
Or how
But I
about
think,
this? When they show slides, and I don't use slides because I want you looking at me. But no, I don't use slides because there's too many times that there's going to be an error with your technology. I don't need that. And like you said, it's not what we're telling you, it's how we're making you feel. Therefore, I don't work with slides. And in this latest TEDx I did, unfortunately, those who did work with slides, the lighting hit really weird. So they were lit from here and then dark from here down. And that's unfortunate. You cannot plan technology. Go ahead and try it and then see what happens. You can't tell a 3-year-old what to say in the store. That's not going to embarrass you. You can tell them, but you can't plan it. So when you plan on technology, you just can't. But when you are getting ready to go up on stage, another thing, I don't have the prayer thing in me, but I do the superhero pose. Have you heard of doing that? Hands on
no,
your hips and your feet are shoulder width apart. And that's like a superhero, and your chest is proud and out. And you breathe in big and you say, I'm just going to go rock this. This is my moment. I'm going to go do this. And you pump yourself up. And like you said, music is the best way to do that. But superhero pose, even if you're about to go into a meeting with the boss, I'll be right in. Go around the corner. Superhero. I'm strong. I've got this. I'm ready. Breathe in, breathe out. Tell yourself how great you are. Don't wait for
but I
somebody
also,
else to do it.
yeah, but I also see a lot of people, they try to force humor. And for
Ah,
me,
yeah.
because a lot of times you might misjudge the room and piss some people off,
Oh,
or it
yeah.
just might not come funny, and then you're waiting for that response, and you're here crickets, and then it totally throws you off your game. So talk about not trying to force humor.
True. And I used to host stand-up comedy a lot. And one guy that stands out in my mind, not only did he have a really squeaky high voice, but he also, which was hard to listen to, but then he blamed the room for the jokes that didn't land. And then he said, "Oh, you're from the Midwest, you're a bunch of teachers anyhow, you're not going to get this stuff." He lost the whole room. He just told us Midwest people are stupid. He lost the whole room. Afterward, he came up to me, he said, "What happened? I totally felt everything go away." And I said, "I'll answer you if you promise to listen to me, but remember that you asked me." And he's like, "Okay, I'm ready." And I said, "You told the room they were stupid. They weren't going to listen to you anymore." And he had to think about it. "Oh, I don't think I did that." I said, "Okay, I knew you didn't want to hear it, but I was right there and I felt when it happened. That's the other thing you have to do. So you cannot force humor, like you said. The more you do get out and speak, the better it works. But the more you can play with the audience and use what they have. If they work in HR, find an HR joke. If they work in accounting, what's some sort of an accounting story you can do? Do your homework. Do not just go speak at that place. Research. One of the keynotes I just did last month, I toured the company because it was local, and I sat with the executive director, and it was a certain anniversary. It was like the 40th. So I looked up what's a 40th anniversary and I worked that in. I looked up the staff. I did my homework and it felt good. I felt connected. And when you share something that's reflective that you did some work on them, you see it in your audience and you won them over. So yeah, you want to keep jokes appropriate. You don't want to cross a line. That's for sitting around a campfire or something.
But also, don't you think, like somebody asked me, well, how do you become a better speaker? And I'm like, you need to speak. You need to put in the reps, because I realize that in order for me to get better at whatever I do, even they say if you want to be good at something, you got to put in the 10,000 hours. So even if it's speaking, go on a bunch of podcasts. Start your own podcast. Go speak at. I've spoken in jails, rehabs. If there, I'll go speak at the opening of a Cracker Jack box. It doesn't matter to me, because I love to speak, and I think the more you do something, the better you get at it, and then you also find, well, that didn't go over too well. That didn't sound that great, because I was listening. I had a gentleman I just interviewed an hour before you were on. I had him on my show 3 years ago, and I re-listened to the episode. I was like, God, that was horrible. I sounded like crap, a lot of ums, a lot of ahs, but I see I got better because I put in the reps. So my last question is, you have an amazing book, you have your TEDx's. What does Lisa have going on right now, and how can we support your mission and watch your TEDx talks? Because I've watched all of them. So how can we find your TEDx talks and your books?
Oh, you're sweet. Well, there's a reason I go by Lisa David Olson is because Lisa Olson is such a common name where I live that I stole my husband's middle name. So if you Google Lisa David Olson TEDx, you're probably going to find them. But for sure, it's all over my Facebook page. And I have a Facebook group that's pure comic and it's called Counterclockwise. So join that. It's all on the up. There's no body shaming, no politics, no naughties. It's just pure fun because we need more punchlines and less headlines. Don't be looking at the news before bed, you guys. I even said that on a news show recently. And then I said, whoops, I'm on the news. But look at something that brings you joy. Like you and I agree that we love Carol Burnett. Look up the bloopers from that show. That just is painfully funny to me. Or your favorite show. Look up, if it's Friends, look up Friends bloopers, that sort of thing. The other thing I have is a deck of cards called Dare Zone. And these I sell as well. And I'm on LinkedIn and Instagram as well, but I'd say Facebook is my playground. Dare Zone is a game of prompts. Each card has 2 prompts on it. So when I'm out speaking, I'm like, who wants to play? I always get 3 or 4 people up on the stage and I say, okay, take 2 cards and then choose one. So if each card has 2 prompts, now you're holding 2 cards, you've got 4 prompts. I feel like that's a comfortable way you can choose one of these things to do. And it's going to encourage storytelling or charades or a writing prompt. Teachers love these. I didn't think of that when I invented them, but teachers like them because it's a good writing prompt. So you want to play?
Sure.
Tell me when. I'll pull a card for you.
Right now.
This one, I'll read you the 2 off the card, and then you can share something if you feel so moved. 1, you can either pretend to prank call your partner or your bestie or your coworker. So prank call somebody you know. Or 2, show us your best disco moves and ask the room to sing a song for your accompaniment.
Wow, I don't think anybody would want to see this body move.
I bet you got a pretty good John Travolta inside of you. That didn't sound right.
Yeah, I'm not a Scientologist, so maybe I'll never have one of these.
Nice.
But I think that's a great idea because it makes people get out of their comfort zone and have a little bit of fun, because I don't think people have fun anymore. I think that game would be amazing because I love charades and I think that would be an amazing thing just to get people loosen up and having fun again.
It is. And when, and if we had played like I usually do, you'd have 2 cards. So you'd have 4 choices, like I said, and there's something on there you would do. And I just can't believe how people take it a little bit further. Cause once they've said, yeah, I'll play. And I always have candy prizes. So that gets them up. I don't know why. You hear candy prize and they're just like, okay, like you can't go buy your own candy. Of course you can, but it's all in that mood of fun. But my son reminded me, hey, we're going to be together for Christmas. Let's all play. I was like, duh, because I always play a Christmas game for prizes. So yeah, we're going to play my own game this year.
Okay. So is this available on a website, or is your book available where?
Yeah, my book is on Amazon, and there's even a quiz in here to find out if you're funny. So there's speaking tips. There's improvisation games in the back. There's even a fake sponsor song I made up, but it's humor throughout, but it really is speaking and communication tips, learning things from the stage. And I tell you how that works in real life, like how to make your partner look great in the spotlight. I'm going to support them. I'm going to listen. I'm going to yes and move the scene forward. What is that like in real life? Well, for my husband, I'm going to listen when he's talking, probably ask a follow-up question to show I'm listening. If he needs, let him have the spotlight. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you remembered to move the laundry into the dryer this time. You're like a superhero. So, it's tips from the stage that help in real life conversations at work and at home. So I'm just so excited it's out now. So yeah,
Now,
where you can
is it
find it,
on
yeah, find me on
Amazon or just on Amazon or you have a website?
Amazon and my website, Lisa David Olson. And on
Okay.
my Facebook page, I'm always throwing the links up there. I have an Etsy shop, so if you want to get the cards through there. But either way, the cards are not on Amazon, but they're through me. And if you say you saw this show, I'll throw in free shipping and a fun little toy in the mail with it.
That sounds awesome. I want to thank you, and I want to thank your assistant, whoever put us together. I want to say thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful and humble. Guys, as you know, I wear this t-shirt every day. Yes, I have more t-shirts than one, but this t-shirt says, "Today I decide," and that's going to be my TEDx talk. Because like Joel Osteen says, everybody has a decision to make. You can either decide to be a victim or the victor. And if you listen to this show, you are victors and no longer victims. So thank you so much for hanging out with us today. I truly appreciate you. Have a great week. And guys, remember vertical momentum. The only way to go is up. I love you guys. Have an amazing week. This is your week. Have a great week. Tell your husband he's doing a great job. And if he does the laundry once in a while, he is a superhero.
Thank you, Richard. And thank you for your service in all the ways.
Oh, thank you. Have a great week.
You too.